Good morning.
Good morning.
So good to see everybody here today. And I like that today is a little bit cooler than it has been.
Yes.
So I'm your host, Reverend Sandy, and we want to welcome everybody. And please, everybody on Zoom, you're welcome too. Thank you. So we're working still on core values, and it was amazing how many we found, thinking there were only a few, and then there's all these different kinds, and it just amazes me, all the things that we have to learn when we're children that we don't realize that we're learning, that we use our whole lives. So this month we're doing discipline, discernment, and development. So we're going to have an opening meditation, but before that, John Lalonde is going to introduce our musician today. So they'll do a little music first and then go into the silence, please.
Yeah, so our guest musician is Al King. Al and his wife Dawn are here visiting us, and a few of us know Al and Dawn from the native flute world. Al is a singer, songwriter of primarily devotional music, other kinds of music as well, but devotional music. And he and Dawn are 50-year members of a self-realization fellowship society group in just north of Santa Barbara. They have a large ranch that they have worked on, as we're learning, very hard over the last other ranches as well for 50 years. So we're looking forward to hearing Al and some of the music he's written for his church. He's the music director at this self-realization just north of Santa Barbara.
And they're going to be missing me here in about half an hour. So this first song is called Be Still My Mind, and it's a song about entering into meditation. Be still my mind, that I can hear your sacred voice so near. Be still my mind, that I can feel the presence of Spirit so close. Be still my mind, that I might see the blazing sun in front of me. Be still my mind, that I might hear the word of God beyond the ear. your sacred voice, so
allow yourself to hear my words and gently bring yourself back down into the body, anchoring and becoming aware of where you are again. When you're ready, open your eyes, knowing God is, I am, and all is well. Thank you so much for the music. I went out so far, it was hard to come back in to get on. I could have just stayed there. It was lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, I know that we have one newcomer who's with someone who's been coming. since we were over in the little brown building where Rite Aid is now. So Tanner, would you please introduce yourselves and your friend, please?
Hi, my name is Tanner Smith. My mom and dad made me here dry rice when I was a kid. The common distance. This is Kaylani, my fiance. We live over in Northport now. I moved back up here in 2021. I was out of town for life and career and everything, and then came back during COVID, so now we're back and now we're Thanks for having us.
Your mom was here a couple of weeks ago too.
Yeah, maybe with my sister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Is there anyone else new? Cool. So now we get to have the wisdom of Reverend Joe. Reverend, who are you again? You're Joe. Tell me who you are. Because he gives us a spiritual thought. I could only remember, right?
Joe, before you start, could you ask who's ever doing the camera to you're all coming in smeary once they moved the camera back to the speaker, everything went blurry.
Oh,
Okay.
we'll give it a try.
Better?
Oh, blurry guy.
Maybe I'm a blur.
Well, oh well. We'll go with it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that music is still in my mind. It was just, like Reverend Sandy said, it just lulled me out. I'm already a little tired today, happily tired, because yesterday I worked with my neighbors and we cleaned our main road leading up to our subdivision. A lot of work for all these hands and less work for all of us. So it just feels good to rest today. Really wonderful thing that we did. I want to just say a few words about discernment this morning. Discernment is the ability to judge well, having wisdom, being able to comprehend something in life. You ever had a feeling that someone might judge you wrongly on a first occasion they meet you? It happens, doesn't it? You know, where someone might say, or he or she thinks that they are all this and a bag of chips. And you know, you got to give somebody a second chance once you meet them the first time. If it wasn't a good moment in that first meeting, and that comes with discernment. The benefit of doubt that maybe this person is more than what we first perceive them to be is a better way to put that. If we are giving someone the benefit of doubt and giving them another chance with us, I'd like to say we are looking through our hearts. When I first started in these teachings in the 80s, I thought that God and I were connected one mind to mind. I thought that's where God lived in me, because I'd learned about the macro and the micro mind being the same. And I was wrong. I didn't realize that God lives within our hearts, right in the center of our body. And that really helped me to understand what true love is. And I love to pay attention to my heart, and I hope you do the same, because that's where the truth comes from. That's where the love is. My mom taught me many lessons growing up as a kid, especially about discernment and how to judge well and how to think through and process things. I'd come home from school as a little boy, and I came home from school and I was very upset with a friend of mine. I mean, I was really angry with him, and my mom knows who he is. And so she's my ally, always has been. So I told her, I said, you know what, Mom, I'm not going to see that guy anymore because I hate him. And my mom says, we don't hate Joey. I said, no, Mom, if you knew him the way I knew him, you would hate him too. She goes, we don't hate. We never hate. So I gave up and said, okay, well, I dislike him very, very, very much. And she goes, yes, you can do that, but we don't hate. And I started thinking about that word hate, and just to say the word hurts me. To say that, it's a very ugly word. So she was right about that. And she was always reminding me in case I slipped up during the years of knowing her, if I ever said something like that angrily. And so I learned a lot of lessons through her about those things. How do we know that we have authentic discernment? Well, through prayer and through meditation, our hearts open up, don't they? This morning, listening to that beautiful music, I just felt my heart just filling up with love and joy and serenity. Things like that can move us and remind us of how great every day is. In discernment of someone or something, through prayer and meditation comes love for everyone we meet and everyone we know. It always feels good to get back to that. If we're upset about something, doesn't it? We can stop and check ourselves. There was a lady, I don't know the author at all, but she said, if you are too busy to pray, you are busier than God wants you to be. And I love that quote. If you're too busy, if you're that busy, then you're busier than God wants you to be. So it might be something to think about in discernment as well. Through prayer, we know that we absolutely have authentic discernment right there with us each and every day. And I like to stop and pray each day, as you guys know, those of you who know me. Stopping and praying and meditating always brings me back to center, as it does for you too, I'm sure. And so it is. Thank you.
Is it still blurred?
No, it's great.
Okay, cool. We're going to have some music again. So welcome, guys. We look forward to music. We love music.
Music is a wonderful medium.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This song is Silent Garden of Peace, and it is another song about meditation. I close my eyes, I still my mind, focusing on the light within, watching the sun rise in the east, in the silence. Garden of I sit in silence, alone with you. Blossoms of virtue growing in my heart. I feel so blessed. I feel your grace in the silent garden of purple light, bright stars so white, all around me,
I still my mind, focusing on the light within, watching the sunrise in leaves, in the silent garden of in the silent garden of
And once again, it's hard to come back into the room. Oh, that was beautiful. Now, our vivacious, energetic speaker today, Rev Lj Bull.
That was so fun. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my goodness. So I'm going to talk on the energetic topics of discipline, discernment, and development. They're actually kind of laid back in their field, for me at least. But I am excited about this. So I'll start off with a little personal story. Joe and I did some traveling on Friday. We went to Kerman, to the community center there. Longtime friend was retiring. The community center was packed, and a number of people, local dignitaries, fellow law enforcement people. He was the chief, he was retiring from the chief of police position in Kerman. So lots of people were expressing their appreciation and gratitude for him as this retirement luncheon was occurring. And there were two that really stood out for me. You could feel it in the room, the vibration, the frequency. One of them was when the son, his son, came up and appreciated him for being his dad. The applause that happened after his expression was so gigantic. There's things that just pull things out of us. We were pulled to applaud in such a way that the life in that was just amazing. And after all of these really great expressions, the chief got up there and he gave all that love and appreciation right back at everyone, right back to everyone. He commented on how they were his mentors, his colleagues, his teachers. He commented on how much everybody touched him, and it allowed him to touch everyone that he touched for 40 years. 8 years in Kerman and 40 years in law enforcement. So Joe and I were visiting about all kinds of things on a road trip there and back. And the reason I brought that story up is because we do feel, we do discern. There is a awareness that we pick up all the time. All the time. Meister Eckart. How many have heard of Meister Eckart? Okay. Ooh. Meister Eckart, 13th century mystic, prophet, philosopher, preacher, poet, declared heretic, He expressed this about his teaching. The path is beautiful and pleasant and joyful and familiar. Sometimes we get the idea that it's arduous and effort-filled and demanding and requiring. And oh my gosh, the expectations. I'll say it again. The path is beautiful and pleasant and joyful and familiar. Every aha I've ever had felt like home. It felt familiar. I might have felt like I was a long way away from it before I had it, and then all of a sudden, there it is, but it felt familiar. Meister Eckart has this path, and it's a four-path journey that he references, and in the Matthew Fox Meditations with Meister Eckart, he starts off with Path 1, Creation, also known as Via Positiva. And I have, of the poems that are listed in here, I have one that I'll share for Path 1, Via Positiva. Apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is full of God and is a book about God. Every creature is a word of God. If I spent enough time with the tiniest creature, even a caterpillar, I would never have to prepare a sermon. So full of God is every creature. Earth cannot escape heaven, flee it by going up or flee it by going down. Heaven still invades the earth, energizes it, makes it sacred. All hiding places reveal God. If you want to escape God, she runs to your lap. For God is at home. It is we who have gone for a walk. Path 2. Path 2 is letting go, via negativa. We think of the inhalation and the exhalation. Letting go. For the will to be free, it needs to let go and return to its prime origin. For the intellect to be free, it must become naked and empty, and by letting go, to return to its prime origin. We become a pure nothing by an unknowing knowledge, which is emptiness and solitude and desert and darkness and remaining still. Path 3 is awakening via Creativa. Whatever I want to express in its truest meaning must emerge from within me and pass through an inner form. It cannot come from outside to the inside, but must emerge from within. Path 4, the new creation. Spirit's fruits via Transformativa. God waits on human history and suffers as she waits. We ought to get over amusing ourselves with raptures for the sake of a greater love, which is to minister to what people most need, whether spiritually or socially or physically. God's ground is my ground, and my ground is God's ground. Here I live on my own as God lives on its own. All our works should work out of this innermost ground without a why or a wherefore. Then God and the soul do one work together, eternally and very fruitfully. Then all that this person works, God works. And just as I do almost nothing without God, so too God can accomplish nothing apart from me, apart from us. Did he have some discernment? A discipline? Is there development in that expression? We're doing it all the time. All the time. So that was 13th century. And then we have teachers today, contemporaries today, Michael Beckwith being one of them, Reverend Michael Beckwith, and he's commenting on how our spiritual growth occurs. How it happens. It happens to us, and we're overwhelmed at first, but what a great contrast to point us in new directions. By us, the doing. Who hasn't? Who doesn't? We're all doing something. The through me, the opening, the allowing, and the as me, the being. And we, interestingly, in some areas will be very, very much coming from one way of that maturation development process. And in another area of our life, we might be at the beginning again. And there is nothing wrong with that. In this magnificent life that continues to unfold, there is nothing wrong with it at all. Power versus Force is written by David Hawkins, R. Hawkins. And he was introduced to me years ago, and I've had his books sitting on my shelf. They really looked good. Not a lot happened with them for a very, very long time. But see, that's how it is sometimes. You have a book and you don't open it, you don't crack it open, you don't, it's there. But more recently, I've been listening to it on my commute 4 days a week. So the thing that I wanted to share with you on this, and I'm going to need some participation from you. It's a little bit experiential. Is I'll remind you, anybody familiar with David R. Hawkins' work? Okay, very good. A smaller group of you, so I'm going to give you a bridge of information. His work was built on a kinesiology idea that we can strength test for finding out yes or no to things. Yes or no. And in that strength testing, that kinesiology, what is it? Applied kinesiology is how it's referred to. In that strength testing, they discovered, now this is before he started doing his 20-year work, they discovered that the yes-nos could apply to things you know nothing about. You could say universal truths. The yes-nos could be discovered about universal truth. And lots of people could be giving that answer that know nothing about that topic, which is kind of intriguing. And then he chose for 20 years to do work on calibrating vibrational frequency differences. We think of notes as different frequencies. And so calibrating human emotional frequencies and more. So the premise of this is that the lower the frequency, the more negative the emotion. The higher the frequency, the more enlightened. Apparently there is this frequency number of 200 that represents courage. 250 neutrality, 310 willingness, 350 acceptance, 400 reason, 500 love, 540 joy, 600 peace, enlightenment, 700 to 1,000. So that's his premise. And then he went ahead and he shared that a number of words vibrate at positive 200 and above, and a number of words vibrate below. This is not saying that below is bad. This is just saying it's a weaker energetic. So I would like you to participate with me, if you will, on a discernment experience. and or experiment. I'll say 2 words, and if you'll share with me which one you believe is the higher vibration. Again, I'm just showing you that this is something we witness all the time. We recognize all the time. So, aware or preoccupied, which is higher?
Aware.
Empathetic or pitying, which is higher?
Empathetic.
Cheerful or manic, which is higher?
Cheerful.
Experienced or cynical?
Experience.
Honoring, enshrining. Now, I could flip them, because they have been, the positive has been first, and then the negative has been second, so you could kind of see that pattern and go, I know, I'll just say the first one. No, I know you guys did. Sharing, hoarding.
Sharing.
Nurturing, draining.
Nurturing.
Natural, artificial. The book is loaded with examples that remind us civil, formal. Civil, formal. Defending, attacking. Grateful, indebted. We are very discerning beings. Serene, dull. Tender, hard. Truthful, false. We are very discerning beings. Sometimes we pretend we don't know. And that's okay too. Patty wrote in the Spiritual Thought, she wrote that here at the PLC, we're here to support each other and to love each other through our healings and on our spiritual path. And I'm going to say through our healings and through our Transformativa. There are traditions within Buddhism where some people focus on being of service and some people focus on becoming enlightened. And they actually were a single unit and then they split up because they valued what they were doing so much that they didn't feel the need to have both in the same space. I personally love that we have so much in the same space. We have the learning and the coming into greater enlightenment, and we have the being of service and taking care of each other and adding and loving and supporting and lifting through art and many things, our communities. Ernest Holmes says, our highest God and our innermost God is one God. For me, I say yes, and I add our highest God, our innermost God, and our most grounded God is one God. I like bringing it down to earth. And I love, love, love being in community with you. Namaste. Transfer me. That word.
Boy, that one I had trouble with was formal, and what was the other? Civil. I had to think a couple extra seconds about that one. It came up with civil, but that was more an intuitive leap than an actual knowing or understanding. I go home and look them up. So does anyone want to help with the offertory today? Oh, Barney, thank you, Spirit. Do both sides? You want to-
Sure.
I like it.
I'm not schizophrenic, neither am I.
Oh, that's cute. Say with me, please, divine love
Divine love.
flowing through me, blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And then on Zoom, Reverend Missy will show you how to make any donations you'd like to make. And while he's finishing with that, do we have any announcements today? Joe, you want to come on up?
I don't want to knock you down. This Wednesday, I'll be here at the sanctuary for the men's group. I invite any and all men to join me here at the sanctuary. We also will be on Zoom as well. We can sit around and talk about men's stuff. So I'll see you all Wednesday evening. Thank you. 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Barney. Okay, Joe, now I'm curious about what's men's stuff.
Secret stuff.
Secret stuff. Love it. Our prayer partner this week is Joe, so he'll meet you in the back after service if anyone would like a prayer done for them. Next week is Reverend Missy Higginbotham speaking, and she's on Zoom. So I think we'll find a way to lift that up a little bit to make sure everybody can see okay. She always has a neat approach and a lot to say, so please come in and enjoy her. So let's go with the prayer protection piece. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. That's such a comforting last line, that God is everywhere that I am. So we're going to have a closing musica. They're nodding. I think that's a yes.
Yes.
Please come on out.
Can I make one quick announcement?
Sure.
I just want to let you guys know that the Polonia honey sales, of which we raised $70, so I'm going to donate weed, royal weed, $35 to the PLC. And I want to just thank all of you for nurturing one of those qualities, nurturing Cheyenne Hernandez's beautiful dream of going to Columbia and recording her music. And so we raised through donations, and also I went ahead and kicked in the other $35 of the Polonia sales to her trip. So we raised all of us together about $75 or $80 for her trip, and that was just her margin. She goes, God, now I'm gonna have money for food in the airport and stuff. So she's gonna bring us back some beautiful music, and you guys all supported her, and I hope you got a little bit of sweetness in that very rare honey. So that's all.
And for those on Zoom, Barney was thanking everybody for the gifting that came out of them buying the honey last week. So it was a great experience, a great gift, and thank you, Barney. Yes, LJ?
I just want to remind you that if you're not getting the weekly newsletter, right inside where the light is and the flags, there are little tags that you can hand me, your email address, and I'll make sure you get weekly news.
And for those on Zoom, LJ's just advising everybody to where they can give her their email address if they're not getting the weekly email. Please, give us a song.
Okay. This song is entitled Love and Grace, and it is like a recitation of aspirations, positive aspirations, positive affirmations. And I'll sing a line, and then you're welcome to repeat that line with me. And you'll kind of catch on as it goes along. So if you want to sing a little bit, which I would encourage, here's a chance. My life is filled with grace. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your grace. Patient and courageous, I am that I am. Patient and courageous, I am that I am. My heart is filled with love. Joyful and singing, I am that I am. Joyful and singing, I am that I am. My life is filled with grace. Compassionate and caring, I am that I am. Compassionate and caring, I am that I am. My heart is filled with love. Loving and kind, I am that I am. Loving and kind, I am that I am. My life is filled with grace. Thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you. Thank you for your grace. Listening and sensitive, I am that I am. Listening and sensitive, I am that I am. My heart is filled with love. Empathetic and forgiving, I am that I am. Empathetic and forgiving, I am that I am. My life is filled with love.
I'm so glad you came up to visit. We've enjoyed you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. It's been a great Sunday. Just close your eyes with me for a minute and know that we go forth today, spreading this cheer, spreading this love, spreading this caring. That the world is a different place because we're in it. And oh, it's so wonderful. And I give such glorious thanks for that, which it is. Say with me, please. And so it is. Have fun, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you, thank you, thank you.